After watching lots of Adventure Time, it's easy to realize that this show is a love letter to animation. You can tell not only in the amazing expressions and how everyone moves around, but also in the various episodes that take on completely different styles. Season 6 was the most experimental season in the entirety of the show's run, so it made sense that we got an episode called Food Chain from it. Finn and Jake visit the Candy Kingdom Museum of Natural History, and while there, they learn about the natural concept known as the food chain. It's an infinite cycle that's bound to happen with any living creature in the wild, always moving around in a circle of life. Finn and Jake aren't necessarily excited about the information they find out at the beginning of the episode, but Magic Man is here to change everything. He turns both of them into birds, and that's when the story takes an interesting turn.
Hey, this is pretty fun.
Hey, have you noticed we are birds now?
I'm hungies.
Go over there. That oasis looks pretty good to me. Bon appetit!
Let's be 100% real here. This is weird. Even for Adventure Time standards, Food Chain was very weird, and it felt like a never-ending acid trip. Throughout the story, we get to see Finn and Jake themselves enter the food chain cycle and become various different living creatures as they feed on others. In terms of logic, it makes absolutely no sense, and of course, that means it's also considered a non-canon episode within the world of the show. It was never meant to give lore that would play a major role later, and instead it was just a for fun kind of story. That being said though, Food Chain manages to stand on its own 2 feet as a visual masterpiece. It's hard to understand what's going on at times, or how Finn and Jake just accept their fates, but that's not really the point. Food Chain's goal is to wow you with its visuals, teach you a little bit about the natural world, and show that everything is really a cycle. One of the biggest reasons it feels so different from what you know is a guest animator. This is Masaki Yuasa, a Japanese animator and storyboard artist who's worked on a pretty decent sized collection of anime. He's a guy who knows what he's doing, and the Adventure Time crew allowed him to direct, write, and storyboard the episode Food Chain. His influence is felt from the very first second, with the brand new opening that feels like eye candy to watch. Colors take on this neon feel to them, and the world pops out at you in a way you never could have expected in all the previous times you've watched Adventure Time's opening. He understood how to make each and every frame flow well into the next, and they all came together to form a treat.
Then the bird eats the caterpillar. Then the big bird eats the little bird. The big bird then dies and its remains decompose into rich, fertile soil. From that soil, a new plant bursts to life. And then the caterpillar eats the plant again. And so the circle of life continues.
Of course, the visual aspects to Food Chain is what you notice right away, but there's still a lot of other things to love. The various songs featured in the episode seem to pull you in a trance, as your eyes stay hyper-focused into whatever's happening on screen. At least, that's my personal experience while watching. I especially loved the very first song we got, where Magic Man suddenly turns Finn and Jake into birds. This song is Queen of the Night Araya, which is from an opera called The Magic Flute. It has its own Adventure Time twist though, which is really cool. We also got a song towards the end of Finn singing what he knows about the food chain. It's kinda like a recap of everything we've learned up until this point, about how the food chain is an endless cycle. The sparkles dazzle as Finn dances and gets really excited over what he's found out. After teaching the kids at the museum about the topic, they don't really seem interested. Then, they head to the slide and go down, which normally would be an alright ending, until you realize this is exactly what happened at the beginning. Yeah, turns out much like the food chain, this entire storyline is an endless cycle of itself, and if you ask me, that's an incredible way to structure it. You can probably watch the episode over and over again, and it would endlessly flow together in the same way as a circle of life. Full disclosure, when I first watched Food Chain a few years ago, I thought it was a bad episode. It came out of nowhere, had no reason to exist, and didn't have much of a plot. Obviously, my opinion has changed since then, and now it's definitely pretty high up there in terms of creative episodes. The problem with my first time viewing is that I thought it would be just a normal story with Finn and Jake going on some kind of adventure, but that wasn't what happened by any means. If you watch this episode thinking it'll be like every other, you're probably not gonna have a good time. It's so easy to dislike this because it's different than what the show is known for, but we have to look back and appreciate what makes it so special. I loved Adventure Time because it was never afraid to break barriers in the world of animation, and Food Chain is a great example of what can happen with some experimentation. It truly was like an acid trip, one that I probably won't be forgetting anytime soon. Also, that bird song is now playing in my head 24/7. Why did I do this to myself? But anyway, that's all for this video. Subscribe for more awesome cartoon videos. Give a thumbs up and comment below, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.